Hello, and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Podcast. This is the back of the bus session.
Hello and welcome to the Old Farm Bus Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Today I've got a very lovely, very bubbly person on the bus, so thank you for being here. Welcome aboard the bus, Gemma Danielle.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
It really is a pleasure. I've just learnt your name now.
Yeah.
I've literally called you Gemma Daniels for about 3 years, been known to you.
Well, at least we've sorted it now.
My partner Chrissy, I'm always like, that Gemma Daniels, she's such a talented person, honestly. And I've just been calling a totally different person, a talented person.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there is a Gemma Daniels out there who's very talented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just not me.
Yeah, not you, but that's who I was directing it towards.
Right, okay.
Now, you are bloody talented.
Thank you.
How are you holding up in all this, though? Because your talent is in music and creativity. I'm sure you do other bits and bobs that we'll find out in the podcast. Have you been struggling through it all? Or are you okay?
I've been struggling.
Really?
I have, and it's like, you don't want to, when people go, how are you? I've stopped going, I'm fine, yeah, how are you? I've been like, oh, you know what? It's been a bit shitty. Because I feel like it is just such a challenging time, like a time where people really have to dig deep. So it has been very ebby and flowy. So sometimes I've been great and sometimes I've been like, this is shit.
Do you think that's been very helpful for you to be more honest with it? Do you know when you're in a place where you're just like, oh, I'm all right, when you're definitely not? Having that honesty and openness, do you feel a much better person from it for yourself?
I think I am honest with myself now, because do you not like sometimes meet people and like super positive and you're just like, ugh. Because no one can be like that all the time. And I think it's about being honest with yourself, but also not just getting stuck into that mindset. So, I think it's been a good thing to be more honest, but I've definitely, I think, grown up in this year. I feel like we've aged in this year. Well, we have.
100%.
We've aged a year.
Look under here. Look at these bags. That's what 1 year does to you, locked indoors.
Honestly, sometimes you're just like, oh, I think I've got more wrinkles. But yeah, how have you found it?
Very similar, in all truth. I was at first just trying to be lying to myself and just putting on this front all the time of, isn't life just great? We could be together, be creative in our underpants with my pyjamas on. But truthfully, I thrive in community. I thrive with people. I really enjoy collaborating and doing things, bits and bobs. And all that had shut down a little bit. I like the hustle. I like the struggle at times where I worked in schools, worked for a company called Independent Thinking, and one day I remember we're doing a lockdown now, which nobody knew what that was, and I had loads of schools lined up that I was nervous for, I had anxiety for, because I'm giving full assemblies to 500 kids, however many's in a school nowadays.
That's like my worst nightmare.
It's quite scary to get on that stage, but when you're on it, you just do your thing and it feels good. When you get your first reaction or laugh or sort of you see them engaging, it's great. When it goes the other way, not cool. And I've had that in year 11 boys, all been kicked out.
Oh no.
I had to change quick. But I was nervous for all that. I was just ready for it though as well. I thought, oh, it's coming on. In one day, everything just got swiped out. And that's all my money's gone, the experiences are gone, and that shut down. And there was a polarity in that. I thought, okay, let's make the best of the situation. But it's definitely just gone on and on and on.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like any end point.
Yeah.
So I've had my ups and downs like yourself. And when I started becoming more real with how I actually felt and not just trying to put on a persona all the time, I had much better relations with my partner, with my family and everything like that, because we live on the farm together and we were having little niggles and naggles and thinking of the business and everything. And when I just went, do you know what, I'm not really coping very well in all this. It's very alien to everyone, but particularly how I'm feeling, I need some help. and I asked for help, and it worked. So yeah, that's where I'm at, and I feel really good now.
That's good.
Genuinely good.
Do you know what? I think sometimes when you ask for help or you let go and you just give up the fight, right? You give up the fight of trying to pretend that you can just get up and you can just fight through it. That's sometimes when actually beautiful things come in, and you know, like, you can find your creativity again, and you can find the presence of being with your partner or whatever. I think that's what I've definitely found during lockdown is stop trying to fight, like, because if you watch social media a lot, sometimes it can be just get fit and don't let yourself go and don't do this, and it's like so many people just telling you what to do, and like no one knows what you should do. You know what you should do. But it is a process, isn't it?
Yeah, I went through that for a while in lockdown.
What, getting fit?
Well, the fitness was cool, and I think that was helpful for me.
Yeah.
I've definitely shifted from that, and I miss it, and I need to get back on it. I bought a treadmill. I'm ready.
Why don't you just run around it?
Everyone says this. I hate the cold. I really hate the cold.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you could get some thermals.
100%. But I bought a TV to go right in front of my face about that far away, and I watched loads of documentaries and all cool stuff, so I feel like I'm walking with purpose.
Okay.
And sometimes, like, we're doing a collab. Woo! Is that supposed to be under wraps?
Well, you just
it's out now. It's happening.
It's happening.
You best follow up, baby. Little things like that where I can put a beat on, and I'm just not got to look around at what's near me. I could just write as well. So there's
like write and run?
Well, I'm on the treadmill, aren't I? So I put it on a big incline, and I'm walking at a fast pace.
Okay.
For a good hour or so.
Really?
The other day, the England rugby was on, and I walked through the whole of that, and then watched, I think it was Tipping Point after that. I went through all of it. I was just besotted with it, so I got stuck in.
That's really...
100%.
And the... This is just because I know someone who like wants to get a treadmill.
Yeah.
What do you recommend?
Where from?
Yeah, where from, and are they expensive? We want to know the good ones.
Your friend best watch this, you know.
Yeah.
I'm putting this out just solely for your friend.
Yeah.
But I'm no treadmill expert. I have spent a lot of time on them.
Let's hope you get a sponsorship.
I should be, yeah, fingers crossed. I think ours was from Sport England.
Right.
I believe it was that website. I went for the higher end because I didn't want it to break after a few weeks.
Okay.
So all my eggs in one basket. And I knew I would use it though. When I've bought something where I put good money into it, I make sure always it's used, like my cameras and everything. So on that principle, go for higher ends, I've heard. I did some research for this. And it depends what you're after, I think. There's lots of people that advocate sprints and just do short, snappy, slight incline. I think it's called Tabata training. And you're running for literally like 10 to 15 seconds.
Oh, and then you're like...
8 on and 40 off. And it's all about the rest period, and then you give it everything. That's like HIIT training. And if you're... I mean, I am no health expert, so there might be personal trainers on this, like, right, get me on that podcast. Yeah. But from what I've listened to, that's a really good way of fat loss and reduction. But for me, for the mind, I do it a lot. I just love to know that I've spent an hour and a half on a treadmill in my thoughts or my creativity or watching something I like. And I've noticed huge differences from just doing it a little bit. So, yeah, I think if you're always stuck in your head, maybe lower impact. Yeah, get a treadmill instead. That's going into our new project. So does that sort of give answers to some of the questions?
Yeah.
I have a heavy impact, and obviously you can't think when you're in heavy impact as well, but then you're only doing it for like 10 minutes, and then you're back at whatever.
How long have you been doing it for?
Well,
can you not tell?
That's why I wear a lot of baggy clothes now, because I've also got into whiskey while we've been in lockdown, and I found that I'm a whiskey connoisseur now.
Are you? What's your favourite whiskey?
Red Stag. I know that's very cheapo, but it's like very sweet and just lovely. I have it with I got a black currant I'm just
Are
crazy.
you actually joking?
No, I'm honest. Yeah, it's got blackcurrant infused in it.
Oh right,
The
I was
taste
like
of it is
thinking you've got
blackcurrant.
blackcurrant cordial with
saw you
whiskey,
look at me like
and
a
I was
freak.
just like,
you were gonna jump over and attack
as if
me.
like I should know that this is normal. I'm like, oh.
So, yeah, a few whiskies, nighttime with my partner and baby, and it's Shrek 3, some magic stars, and a whiskey. So that's not been doing me no favours.
I love it though.
But as I say, very flowing this lockdown. It's been all and nothing and ups and downs. So I think I very much empathise for where you've been at. Do you feel, though, now you've become more honest with yourself, how you're feeling, and them low patches has given to your creativity and your writing? Because you seem quite spoken wordy and poetic with your lyricism. It's not all just, you know, for the charts. It's a bit more in depth. Apart from the Project Zeus one, that was pretty.
That was like a bit fun.
I mean, what was that all about?
That was just a late night thought. So I was like, it was.
Guys, go and watch that. It's so good. Really great song.
Yeah,
incredible. But
I mean, we all went
to
through that sort of patch. Thank you. Yeah, spoken wordy. Like, actually, when you sent me your lyrics, it kind of reminded me of the way I might write. I just started writing journals, and then they just came out in poems. So I must have this sort of set rhythm that I like to kind of... Because sometimes it's not always easy for me to articulate how I'm feeling when I'm just having a conversation with people. I just throw a lot of words out there. But when I'm like on my own and I'm writing, and it's kind of coming from a different place, you know, like when the ego or the sense of self kind of leaves and you're just left with your presence of who you are. It kind of just flows. So usually that's what I start with, and then I write lyrics, and they don't always fit into an essential sort of pop tune. So I kind of wrote, I always find like soul or R&B or like jazz, kind of the sort of songs that don't have this set structure sometimes, they're easier to kind of add those lyrics to. But yeah, with pop, you just got to find like really cool basic rhyming words,
hooks and so on.
Yeah,
very
which
versatile,
I'm trying to do.
though. Like, you clearly really enjoy that. That shows when you're on a track and you're doing it. You feel good in it. I can feel that rhythm and just in pure enjoyment for it. Because I got into music very late.
Did you?
Yeah, really, really, really late. I'm 27. I think 22. 21,
what do you mean you got into music, like as in listening to it, or
altogether? Yeah, I think I listened to it a little. Yeah, the writing process of actually being in music, but even enjoying music, it wasn't an obvious choice for me. I was always listening to podcasts, and it was health and fitness podcasts.
Okay.
Probably because I went through a horrible little childhood. Always in my head, because I was a big fat kid. I didn't have much love in my life, and then when I was at school, that was just a mosh pit of hate.
Oh no.
Good way of putting it. I'll write that lyric for later. mosh pit of hate.
To be fair, people could probably resonate with that, kids especially.
Oh, completely. So I wouldn't listen to... I can't believe how much I've missed out on, like, conscious lyricism and so on. But the one I did when I was younger was Eminem. Had a bit of that in the car.
Right, yeah.
And some The Streets were sort of my two. Because we had holidays, so we'd go to Essex on holiday for my dad's friend, and we'd all get a CD each that we could take in the car, and they were my two. And my dad, I think he had Sting and probably Queen. My sister had S Club 7.
Yeah.
And something on that line. But yeah, by accident, I'd just been given interesting, thought out lyricism like Eminem and The Streets. So maybe that fed a part of my soul and started to ingrain something, but I didn't know about it. So later on in life, it was podcasts and it was health and fitness, and I've had my Joe Rogan experience. There's a guy called Ben Coomber I really got into. He sort of, for me, pioneered some of podcasts. He was like iTunes #1 for a long time. I've gonna meet him one day.
You will put it out.
Yeah, it's going out
it's
now.
manifesting. interesting.
He's messaged me a few times. I've met him at Body Power Nutrition in Birmingham.
I don't know who this is, by the way.
He's a fitness and nutritionist, but somebody that speaks really beautifully balanced and cool, and I just loved how he used to speak. So when I met him, I totally fangirled him way over the top. I'd never had that experience before. I never met anyone.
You fangirls? Like,
well, literally,
I love you.
I was hyperventilating. I'd listen to him when I went travelling. I was on the treadmill every day, and I'd just be listening to his hour-and-a-half chats that he'd have, and it was so good. So I just heard him all this time. And when Birmingham had this convention on, or at the NEC,
oh yeah,
and it's all for weightlifting and so on, so there's humongous guys there, and Ben Coomber's just about my size, just a normal shaped guy. I mean, sorry Ben if you're listening. Definitely not. But yeah, he was the one I wanted to see. Everyone was queuing up to see Arnold Schwarzenegger and so on, and I was just, where's Ben? Is he here? He's here. And I went to see him. He was dead nice to me. I was like, yeah, I've been listening to his stuff loads. I looking at my shoes, it was, kind of embarrassing.
Oh.
But that was it. And it wasn't my consciousness or thoughts or what I was taking in was never coming from music or so on until, later on when I started writing my own and thinking, oh, right, I need some inspiration here. Who else is saying stuff? So, the blues and the soul, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, they're my vibes. They're comfort. Are they yours?
I really like those. Yeah.
That's so I was listening to them, back to the streets a bit, and just taking in the lyrics a bit more.
So like, when you started to do your spoken word, was the spoken word without a beat? Like, is there two different types? Like, because I don't really know the spoken word world.
I think
word world.
Yeah, the world of spoken word.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. I genuinely thought I'd started something when I first did it. Have you ever done that before?
To be fair, when I started writing my lyrics, I was like, no one's doing this. And I was like, I literally used to do voice notes, right? Where I'd be like in this like world where I was like going to be on stage and like speaking. And then I realised there was
a thing called it, John Cooper Clarke. Sort of done this for a while.
So well, and I was like,
Try it. I'm good at singing though.
Yeah, I'll do that one.
There is, and there's clicks within it, which I'm sure there is in all communities, and it's really beautiful and can be very sort of clicky, I suppose. When I was getting into it, I was writing from just pure rawness, because I did have a lot of stories. I've had an interest in life of a bit of travelling, bit of drama, a lot of hurt, and I think you write your best from hurt places, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So first initial one was from losing a friend, and I never considered writing because at school I was told dyslexic, stupid. I never went to English.
That's so bizarre because you're so eloquent.
Oh, thank you.
And you use like words that I don't know.
I mean, I don't. I just say them. Little dictionary in the old head noggin. But I was going through all that, and then it's probably come out more because I've been writing again. So I wasn't always like that, but it's just interesting, isn't it? Where you sort of, how do I explain that? And put a thesaurus, and then you're like, oh, there's a new word. I just love words now. I'm thirsty for them. But I definitely didn't feel that for a long time. It must have been ingrained in me, though.
Yeah.
It just wasn't brought out. It wasn't shown that it was my passion.
Yeah.
But reflecting, because I have reflected, because I teach in schools, I know I always found it interesting, words, and how we use them, and how we put ourselves across. And do you know when you get like a speaker coming to school? I was always the guy to put a hand up with, nobody would, but I wanted to ask questions and I wanted to say things and listen to them. It was just in lessons I couldn't behave. I didn't like it. It didn't suit me. Being told what to do, how to do it, wrong. It just wasn't my nature. I wanted to be up, moving, talking.
Yeah.
So I didn't suit that type of school.
So were you purposely, when you were a kid, trying to rebel?
Yeah, totally. I just wanted to be seen. I was never seen. I wanted to be there. Hello, I do exist.
Wanted to be
heard.
And
I like
here we
it.
are.
Yeah. You're such a great interviewer. What has happened on this dynamic? I likes it. But yeah, I got thirsty for words after losing a friend. I came home, and my dad, who's Dave, you know what you're getting.
Oh, Dave.
He's a ex-footballer and farmer. They're your two things that he does. And he's not blokey, but he doesn't express his emotions or show much emotion. We've never really hugged or anything like that. It's been, I wouldn't say toxic masculinity, but just we knew our ground, and he didn't express much. But when I come back from travelling, I just said, Dad, can I show you this poem? And he's like, you what? Doing poems now, we lads. And I performed this poem to him, and he was tearing up. I've proper never experienced a moment like it with my dad. I was looking across like, bloody hell.
Oh, wow.
I've actually been listened to. I've been heard for the first time. It felt really powerful. So he's sort of like, right, you're going into shows. I'm going to take you to the pub. Went to the local, performed this poem, and I remember there's about 5 blokes here. Like, yeah, poetry. And honestly, like, I'll not go all into this journey, but within a few months, 4 or 5 months, I was performing on stage with Russell Brand, performing in different communities, getting on shows every week, all over the country, and it was just huge. I was absolutely just pure love of it, and it was all from raw place, so I was writing my truths. It's just as it went on and on and on, I started to get a bit more contrived and saturated in what I was saying.
That's interesting you say that.
I felt like I ran out of maybe truths, and I needed to live life again a little bit to go and report back about my truths rather than make stuff up or talk about other people's truths. So yeah, that's sort of my journey with lyricism and how I write. What took you on the journey of writing a journal and then starting to write in that form?
I would say, like, I resonated with so much of what you're saying, and it was like, oh yeah, I went on that journey, but just in my own way. So I've always sang, I won't go really into my singing journey, but just always sang, but never believed I was a singer. I didn't want to be a singer. My mum was a singer. I come from a long line of singers, but I wanted to be an actress.
I can see it.
Until I didn't want to be an actress anymore.
Damn it.
And then I just realised the only place I felt happy and at home was when I was singing and connecting with people. It was the only time I felt maybe heard for being my authentic self. And then I had a little bit of a heartbreak, but the guy that was the kind of heartbreak was also someone who inspired me because he was extremely creative. So from that, I don't know, I just decided that I would start to write down my feelings, because I was always trying for people to understand me. I'm like, yeah, but you don't understand what I'm trying to say, because I couldn't get what was in here. I couldn't get it out, and it always felt like it was misinterpreted. So I just started writing, and then I was like, fuck it. You know the moments when you're just like, fuck it, I don't give a shit. I'm just doing me, because you just give up every element of resistance. Like, I don't care about making people happy. I just need to just get all of this out. Yeah, and maybe it is hurt, you know, all of this emotion out, because it almost surpasses any element of trying to be like the people pleaser.
In essence.
Yeah,
it's just cathartic.
Yeah, so I got it out, and I realised that, oh, I can write songs, and then people listened. And I was like, oh, I don't need to try and get people to hear me. I can just speak my truth, sing my truth, and it's already picked up.
Starts to really resonate and be understood.
Yeah, so if you just like follow what your truth is, other people understand you. I was like,
yeah,
hello, why is it taking me to year 30 to get to this like little IKEA moment? But like you know, I started to write, and then I'd kind of exhausted all of that emotion, and then it became a bit stale, and I felt stale, and I stopped enjoying it. And I think everyone was like, oh, well, we're doing the lockdown now, you can write loads. I'm like, mate, it's not as easy as that. And actually sometimes, I think we had this conversation before about sometimes the emotion or what you're going through it and you're not ready to talk about it.
Yeah.
So you have to go through the emotion for the truth to come out.
I completely agree. I mean, I really resonate with what you say there. And when you talk about when you've been through all your cathartic healing and saying, Did you feel complete then? Did you feel whole in
I felt whole for that
period?
For that period.
And what you'd just done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've definitely feel I had my healing process. I went back through where I was at and what I needed to say and get out. Really had a year or 2-3 years of festivaling and meeting people and just feeling fully whole. But I think we're just constantly going through healing processes.
Oh my God! When you figure that out,
yeah, just all
life is
forever
constant,
growing.
and you're never going to be done.
Yeah,
you're like, oh,
yeah.
for fuck's sake!
It makes it quite beautiful though.
It's beautiful and stressful.
Yeah, you can see it.
You're
I think
I'm done.
I think we need pain in our lives. We need that to grow tenacity and the thirst for life and the one. I truthfully, not just saying it in a cliche manner, but I don't want my life to just all be sunshine and rainbows ever. I don't think it suits life. And when I'm in an element of stress or I'm in a moment of, I need to overcome this with business, with music, with whatever it is, maybe it's taking on a completely new craft or a new skill or a new passion. It gives you the thirst for life. And I do feel that. And with the writing, I took a step away from it. I managed to sort of get into filmmaking, find other passions. I've got sport passions that I love. Got a bad knee at the minute, but I'm still doing my bits that I can. And after doing that for, a few months, 8 months, a year, whatever it became, I look back and I was like, oh, that writing thing, I've just started to get this burn again where I feel misunderstood, I feel misrepresented. People don't get me because I'm clumsy sometimes when I'm too passionate or too emotional or politics. I don't get what's going off, so I'm just like, can someone explain to me? And I think it looks clunky, but when I've sat down, I've processed, I've edited back what I really think and what I really feel, and you know when you really feel it because it feels right.
Yeah.
It's like that's the.
Do you get like
line.
a weird sensation?
Genuinely, yeah. Genuinely.
Like a whole like body rush. You're like, I've hit
said
it.
the line. I've said and yeah. After each moment of that, and when you've completed your finished product and article, that's the comfy moment for me. I go, oh wow, I've said it, I've overcome it, I put it out there. I let people go, this is what I think, this is what I wanted to say, and then I can actually retreat. Then I can go back. There's so many times it could be politics or mental health or whatever, the mind, where I've just clashed and kept going against and butting heads with people or saying daft stuff. The best tactic for me is just going, come back, remember you've got a passion or a talent for writing, find your place to channel it, go back forward with your best possible outcome and your best possible answer for them, and maybe they get you better, and most of the time they do. So I feel we're both on that sort of journey.
Do you think it's because you are composed in, when you're doing this spoken word, it's composed, it's centered, and therefore people receive the point far greater than, when we're just spouting shit on social media. Yeah. It just comes out like all over the place.
Unfiltered.
Yeah, which I think a lot of people do nowadays. I mean, I do.
Yeah, we've probably both been victims to it.
My stories, Jesus Christ. Sometimes I'm like, well, let's just delete them.
Yeah, 100%. I think when I'm just letting a stream of consciousness come out, unedited, but to be heard straight from the off, you're not going to present your best self ever. It doesn't make sense to, because with nuanced conversations and balanced topics, if you're just passion involved and you're letting everyone hear you straight away, there's going to be 10 points in that point that you've made that don't actually resonate with you truthfully.
Yeah.
You're just stumbling across it. And then that's what writing is for me. That's what you do. You write it all down. You do a free write, I think they call it, where it is a stream of consciousness. And then suddenly you start to pick out bits and edit it. And that's my truest self, because I've looked back, I've listened. You probably have to go through a few versions of self to get to that genuine point that you wanted to bring up. Yeah. I feel. I do it. I've really try and be conscious about when I've had arguments with parents, close people, my partner, whoever, friends, and I've gone back and just gone, what a dick. Why did I say that thing?
Yeah.
Why did I just wanted to hurt them in that moment. I just wanted to say something jabby because I was hurting. So I thought, right, I've won back, here you go. Try and be emotionally victim to it or so on. But yeah, I think the best thing to do, and probably in therapy, they just get you to like write a letter, don't they, to somebody, so you can keep going back through it and through it and through it. And that's what we're doing with our writing, I suppose.
Yeah.
I mean, because you're writing in so many different varied ways, are you favourite to when you're speaking your conscious stream then, or speaking through your emotions and experiences, or at the minute, if you're feeling a good place, do you like it when it is just catchy and playful and enjoyable?
I think I feel when I'm flowy and I'm in a deep emotion, when usually the stream of consciousness, free writing or whatever it's called, comes out, I feel probably more at home expressing that because no one can tell me I wasn't feeling that. You know what I mean? I don't compare myself to others when I'm speaking from the heart, truthfully. But when I'm doing like pop stuff and I'm doing hooks, I'll be like, does that sound right? Like, oh, like Dua Lipa would do that better. And or, you know, like, then I get a little bit heady.
Yeah.
And, you know, pop is about creating really catchy stuff that it does not always necessarily about the lyrics.
Yeah.
It's just something that sounds nice.
I think that became a misconception to me, that I could only write emotional, meaningful pieces, and I got a bit too serious in my writing and my process and my passion, and sometimes it can document the fun bits and the interesting bits and just writing for rhyming schemes and cool words and stuff. So when I noticed myself slipping into everything was an emotional, gotta get inside my soul, really go and heal and find my form through it. When I had a few writing sessions where it was like, shall we just be funny here? Shall we just be playful here? Let's try something totally different. I had probably some of my best writing came from it. Really just enjoyable moments with it.
I like that because it actually, if you're feeling happy and you're playful and you're just literally having a laugh, then that's what comes out, and that's the feeling. Like, you still capture a feeling, don't you?
Yeah.
And like, I do think pop music, like, I remember my ex being kind of like, oh, it's a load of shit, but it's popular for a reason. You know, because sometimes people just want to feel good.
Yeah.
They don't want to be like, you know, do you listen to the beat or do you listen to the lyrics? Like, we usually listen to the lyrics when we're really sad. You know, when we're like, I really want to know what you're saying because I feel it too. And then when you're like, want to be happy and you just want to be buzzing and partying and you just want like meaningless sounds that feel good.
But so meaningful in their presence.
Yeah, they serve a purpose, right?
Why I really wanted to get you on, and the Project Zeus boys, I've met them now, we're all sort of communicating.
Oh, we're like a little part of our own clique.
Oh, we've got it going on. But it's meeting those guys have actually helped me with a new part of my philosophy and feeling, and it's introduced different sounds to me, all for the love of music rather than anything else, where it would always be this pursuit of meaning and so on. I've started to feel in my life people like yourselves who create that sound. I'm so thankful for, because it just gives me an escapism that I'm getting pure joy from. And I really felt that. I felt that in the track. It was playful, it was fun. There's a little video and it's funky. You guys are just having a buzz, and I thought, oh, do you know what? I've got a lot of thinking in my head at the minute. And meeting people like you and Project Zeus and so on, who are purely creating for love and enjoyment of sound, I'd never really ventured that path, and it seems to be really healing a part of my soul. So thank you.
Nice.
It's good.
Well, do you know, I feel like Project Zeus are a good dynamic because I'm a thinker.
Yeah.
And they're just, I mean, they are thinkers, obviously, but I mean, they are.
You met some.
But like, they're really light. Like, I know Josh better, and he's just like a doer. He doesn't faff around, he just does, and it makes it so easy. It means that you can just do, don't overthink it.
Yeah. And I must admit, for Sam, if he ever watches this, I love you, brother. and it was just funny, we do a podcast together called Series of Theories.
I know, I love that.
We're gonna have to get you on. You're gonna be an expert at something. Well, I'll let you decide what you're expert in.
I'm an expert in my own life, and that is
that's enough for us.
Chatting shit.
we had an expert, a bushcraft expert. My mate, come on, he's got
a
big
bushcraft.
So he goes out and lives in the wild.
Of his what?
No, it's not. The fact that he's got a beard doesn't make him a bushcraft expert.
I was like, what
I can see why you think that.
Bush are we talking about?
Bushcraft, I think. Ray Mears is potentially that. Is a survivalist.
Oh, that makes more sense.
Yeah, that's a much better word. But it is called bushcraft.
Okay.
But they go out and live in the wild. So our question for him was, how would you survive a zombie apocalypse?
Oh.
But Sam was just sat there for the podcast just going, yeah, I'd be fucked. It's like, no. Yeah, not thinking.
Is he not even trying?
He tried in the end. He was working it out. He's like, I'd probably build a fort and, I'd get a jetpack and that. I'm like,
Where are you getting that from?
Yeah, thank you. You need some ingenuity in that. But yeah, I'm glad you guys all collaborated because it's brought a beautiful force and dynamic together. Are you planning on doing more stuff? And could we go into that a little bit, how it all sort of blossomed?
Came together.
It came to be.
Just everything like the universe decided. And we were like, hey. So Josh contacted me and was like, I've got some time. Do you want to... I want to work with different artists. Like, do you want to do something? And I was like, yeah, cool. And I just sent loads of little bits of stuff because I just always have like little voice notes. Nothing that I'm only just learning how to record my own stuff.
Oh, nice.
And then he just started he picked one that he liked, and then he created a beat, and we were going to and from, and then he was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna do garage.
Yeah.
And literally I was like, OMG, I love it. Like, I'd never thought about... I don't even really listen to garage, right?
Yeah.
So then I was like, oh my gosh, I am going to be a garage queen. Like, yeah, I can do this because garage is cool, right?
Yeah.
And I want to be cool.
Yeah. You're definitely working that out. I'm liking it. It's happening.
So I was like, right, so this is totally about like my street cred. And then Nebula, I've always wanted to work with. He's a rapper. He's just...
That was a cool few verses. That was awesome.
Well, he only did one...
Was it one verse?
He did one, and I was like, no, you need to do two.
I was going to say.
Because you were making this sound so cool. And then...
heck, it works.
And then in the morning, because I didn't have anything to record, so I went to Josh's, Project Zeus's studio.
Is it tiny? I've not been in yet.
It's tiny.
Is it tiny?
It's tiny, but we stayed 2 meters apart.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's big enough. But I always get told, oh yeah, I'll come. And he's like, I'll bring this guy, and I'll bring this guy. He's like, nah, just bring yourself, bro.
Yeah.
It's a bit small, like.
It's toasty. It's probably like up to that, like.
Over the middle of the bus, maybe.
Like,
a bit more.
Yeah, it's small. So I went over and I recorded, and basically I'd made up something in that morning. Mm-hmm. And I was just singing what I'd made up, and he went, yeah, let's do that.
Wow.
So actually the process of that collaboration was very much like inspired, just spur of the moment. Oh my God, yeah, that worked. And it was like 3 people just coming together to create a track, and literally Project Zeus just smashed it. They just did amazing, and I'd love to work with them again because I find them extremely easy to work with fun and light.
I think that is literally what it embodies in the music though as well. So the fact that you had that vibe, and now you're talking about the studio time you shared together, it makes so much sense that that's how you felt, because that is totally what come across. 100%. Oh man, I've been listening to it a bit too much, some would say. It went on BBC Introducing as well, didn't it?
It went BBC Introducing and Kiss.
Whoo!
I know, but
have you been on those before?
No, well, BBC Introducing, but not Kiss FM. Is it Kiss FM?
Yeah, totally.
Well, like that's
big.
That's a milestone for me.
That's huge.
But like, I didn't know we were on it until I got tagged in it from Project Zeus, and and that was on the night before. I was like, oh, yay! So yeah, that was cool that we were on that, and and those little things and I just would like to collab with more people, because you just get to like, one, it's easier creating tracks with somebody else because you don't put all the weight on yourself, and you've got someone to bounce off.
Have you done a lot on your own merit, first of all? Felt that it's been very singular
at the start?
I think we've shared a really similar journey, honestly. I went through that process of writing, never expecting to write, then writing a book and going places, doing all.
Book?
Yeah, got. I'll give you one at the end, so you can have my little book,
freebie,
first collection. Yeah, got a freebie out of this, didn't you? And then I went on that journey of schools, absolutely loving it. But when it did start to sort of stifle my writing, because it become my everything, everywhere I'd be, I wasn't Mikey with loads of different interests. It was, hi, I'm a poet. I give myself that. That's my own pressure that I'd caused, wrongly, but I didn't know what I was doing. Still learning now. But I went on this journey, and then afterwards, as it started to sort of, I didn't want to say plummet, because that indicates really low, but just stifle off, and I found new passions. That was so important to me. And then when I got back into writing again and collaborating, like yourself, it's just turned into a full passion project for me again. I feel so good in it. I'm not so serious as I was taking it here, and it just feels right. All the writing again, the concepts we're talking about, I've gone, I've got a bit more life experience on that. Let's talk from here. And probably all the stuff that's happened in my life recently and confusion, that'll come out in another year's time or another 2 years' time. But I like that me and you have decided to sort of go back to sort of a period about a few years ago or so. And for me anyway, I have. Is that correct with you?
What I'm creating, writing wise?
Yeah. That I think when I've sort of let it settle,
gotta let the dust settle,
thought about it, collected my opinions towards it, and not too in the moment, that's where it comes out right now. I've learned that in my process of writing.
What I'm trying to do though is like, do you go back to the feeling of that moment to create the authenticity, or do you write from almost like an observer point of view as a reflective? Because I find with
pose that question. It very much is dependent on the track and how I'm feeling. I remember I went into Mount Street. Charlie Kirby, the man, absolute brother, love him to pieces. And I went in with Johnny Ollie.
Love him.
Two very incredible people that I love very much too. And we created this track and it did really well, Choking on Air. And that, I was going through a really bad patch, struggling, and I wasn't writing about that bad patch, but I was writing from a place of pain and other bad patches that I'd had. So I was in that emotional space, but then I went back to reflective moments of when I've been in pain. So that's where I wrote that song from. And I think it is being an observer of self, if that sounds a bit too avant-garde for you, but it's just observing what he's going through, what he's feeling, but not trying to be too emotionally attached to that self, if that makes sense. Yeah. Because I can, like we've said before in conversation, I can get too clumsy with it, and then I'm looking back at my rhyming schemes, I'm looking back at all that I'm putting down, and it just feels contrived, I suppose. It feels I'm too emotionally attached to this piece,
right? But
as the observer of that, can back off a bit and go, what are the other people thinking, and be an empath within it as well. Do you know what I mean?
That does make sense.
Yeah, that's, never said that before, but that's what I feel. It felt right when I said it.
Okay. Yeah.
That makes and is it a similar process with you, just out of interest? It was a very good question, so I thought just backfire it.
I think I've been listening to some amazing American sort of, I guess, like emo pop.
Nice.
And I find them very like stream of consciousness writing and very raw. like, you know, still raw, like accusing the other person of doing things, you know what I mean, rather than the reflective, which would be like,
that was exactly what I was alluding to.
So it's like I'm trying to write like that, but if I get too much in that emotion, I'm not very good at, like, I mean, anyone who knows me, like, I can tip over the edge, so I can be super emotional, then I'm emotional for days, and it could go on for a couple of weeks, and then I've like overthinking everything. So it's like sometimes I've got to find this balance of like being creative and giving myself, but probably best if I step back a little bit and be reflective for my own mental state.
Yeah, I think that's important and good for artists to think of, because when you're in a writing state and you're creating all the time, you're putting yourselves in these emotional places constantly. If you're writing an album or if you're writing an EP, it's very much in that moment, and getting into that state. So it can be very reflective of how you feel in them time, and put yourselves into them sort of places, emotional. I've definitely, saying that there, I think we've spoke a bit about, but I can totally remember where I was on the precipice of being happy and feeling good, but I thought, oh no, my writing, no, I need to stay uncomfortable, unhappy, because I'm doing good here. I totally get what you're saying there. I feel
sometimes people ask about the music and it seems very self-indulgent, because I think creatives have to always go in there and be in that space, but like sometimes it's good just to step out of it all and just be light, right? And just be light and not like have to overthink everything. And
we're definitely very similar vibes, similar people, overthinkers. Get right, and if you're an overthinker,
do you know what, sometimes I look at my cat and I go,
there's Zen Buddhism.
I've got to be like my cat. Like, just doesn't think. Just does. Have a great life.
Balls now and then.
Well, it's a girl.
Oh, right. Definitely not then.
So it doesn't lick his balls. Maybe some of the balls, but
the other thing. I did want to get on though, because you have had an interesting life. I think so. Where you grew up and all this. We've been heavily into the writing. I could talk forever on writing. I'm so passionate about it and love going down them paths. But we've got a podcast to conduct, and it's all about you today. I want to talk where you've grown up and the person you are. Like, I've watched a few of your things where you're talking, not doing your singing, and it's just so bloody lovely, like really friendly. I just think I want to be around that energy. I want to be around that person. Are you, all your family sort of have you seen the film Pleasantville?
No.
Not seen them. That's for you. But that's research for tonight. That is homework.
Pleasantville.
And I can just imagine this really nice household, really wholesome. Get up in the morning,
like
morning everybody, howdy ho, and then you just thought maybe a musical breaks out and you're all going in together. Is it like that? And how did you grow up? Was it a happy environment and loving?
Yeah, happy and loving.
Feels it. You absolutely emanate it.
Yeah, that's I am so grateful. My family are amazing. Had a beautiful childhood, and I feel very lucky. Was very free. I mean, my mum's a singer, and my brother is amazing, like with his voice as well. And so we would sing all the time, and we would be in the car and do 3-part harmonies, and then they'd always get
Oh, have you seen Step Brothers? And that kid at the back, she's got eyes of the blue in sky.
That is literally.
Why does he sing like that? And then I can't do that bit where he does that. Hey. Kills me. But now you've just said that, I've totally got this image in my head now. I'm not going to get that out. To be fair,
like, the cringe-o-meter, like, if you were in the car, would probably be, like, everyone's bum cheeks, like, what? Because I'm the worst. Like, I used to... Oh, my God.
I love this so much.
I'm cringing so much.
Yeah, but it makes me happy, so carry on.
I I can't.
It's that bit,
so embarrassing.
do you know in the film as well where that girl comes in, his wife, and she says, "You remind me of the summer." And he's like, "You're flat, totally flat, absolutely out of this. Go and take it, Tommy." And honestly, that's genuinely, I've got about 5 favourite scenes that pop to mind, but that's in the top 3.
That's your fave?
Such a good, top 3, definitely. Okay. The other one is Dumb and Dumber. Sorry to take you in this tangent. The other one is Dumb and Dumber. He's having a bit of a meltdown and just getting dead angry. And he's like, "We've got no job, we've got no money, our budgie's heads are falling off." Because a guy's been in and he's took his budgie's head off. That is one of the greatest scenes of all time.
Why did he take his budgie's head off?
They've got the mafia after him for some reason. I mean, it's Dumb and Dumber, and they've just... Have you not seen it? You've got some films to go and watch tonight. I don't think I've seen it, but I was laughing because you were laughing. Oh, yeah. No, laugh with me, girl. It's beautiful.
I'm on the journey.
Yeah, those 2 scenes. But sorry, I'm totally taken away from the wonderful point of you singing in your... What car are we in here?
Oh, I don't remember the car.
Don't remember the car. You
but
just remember the harmonies.
It will be like that. Like if you watched it on a screen, you'd be like, "This is cringy, but it's funny."
Yeah,
like I used to sing. Like I'd be like, "Can I get car sick? Can I like go in the front?" So I'd go in the front, and then I used to sing, and like the mirror. Like I'd pretend I was in a music video and I could see myself, and I'd be like, and my brother would be like, "Stop fucking looking at yourself." And he's like, "And stop singing, like, stop pinching my harmonies." They'd always get annoyed, my mum and my brother, because I'd be pinching the harmonies. But can I just say I sang it better? Yeah,
I can imagine.
So I was like, I'm gonna go strong. Plus, I wasn't as good as harmonies as these 2 were. But and then my dad would try and pipe it in, and all of us would be like, "Shh."
Couldn't you just give him a little bit of rapping in between? No,
Dad. You just drive.
Yeah.
Drive on.
So he was the female in that scene of Step Brothers there, like totally flat, Dad. Or you like go crescendo together.
Yeah.
Beautiful. So it was happy, bubbly, beautiful childhood growing up then.
Yeah, because I lived in Switzerland and
there you go.
Yeah,
cool.
That was pretty cool. It was kind of isolating in terms of maybe kind of on a little pedestal, little bubble, we lived in the middle of nowhere, so I was so used to creating stories and imagination, and I really think that part of me kind of blossomed the creativity because you have to occupy yourself. And then so I think that's played a huge part in my life and why I'm so like everything is so dreamy, and I've got to create and I've got to express because I was allowed to be in my own little world for so long.
I mean, okay, Switzerland. How did you end up there? What went on?
My dad's job.
Yeah?
Yeah. So,
and it took you all... So how old would you have been? Did you go from the UK to Switzerland, or were you born in Switzerland?
Yeah, no, from the UK. I came from Bolton.
Bolton, yeah. That was bad.
I don't think that's...
Bolton. Nah.
Bolton.
How is that? I mean, Peter Kay's from Bolton, isn't he?
Yeah.
So garlic bread.
Garlic and bread.
Yeah, that's Bolton. I knew it was in there somewhere.
No, he's from Bury.
But shize. Shizer.
Shizer, man.
Chris is German, so I'm allowed to say that.
Is she?
Yeah, well, half shit. Christina Giljochen. All the family are from Berlin, and I get to go Berlin.
Does she speak German?
Oh, yeah, fluent. Really good. I love it. Do you know when we do go to Germany, it's so exciting.
Can you speak it? Are you
hello?
hello?
No, yeah, a little bit. I'm sat there in the tram, and we had this time where a woman was talking horrendously about us, and she was just documenting it all to me. Didn't like feeding it in. Got off and was like, she hated you. And just looked like a proper tourist as I am. My gimbal out, like, oh yeah, what's going on here?
It's like,
doing
the English.
A music video to do a little Berlin to UK. My friend did a UK version, so he had a verse, and I did the Berlin little slot.
Oh wow!
It looked cool, yeah. Bringing the homes together.
Berlin's really creative.
It's so good.
I want to go.
Absolutely love it. Really, just expressive everywhere. There's graffiti, artists on the street. it is the word vibe I use a lot, but that is a vibe. That is a full-on vibe in Berlin. Everywhere we went, I just loved. I mean, we stuck a bit out the touristy bits because it can get crowded. But when you go into really cool bars and just nice little, the nightlife's good, really fun. But yeah, I love travelling. Really enjoy travelling. So you went from Bolton, all the way to Switzerland and lived out there for?
From 11 till 18.
Wow. That's exciting. So all sort of secondary school life then, really? Yeah,
I think it was a really good experience for me because I didn't grow up too quickly. You know, like sometimes I think I left when I was in like high school, just the first year of high school here, secondary school. And everything felt like it was fast paced. And I think it's kind of like that now where kids grow up quite early. There's makeup, there's, you know, that you just so much kind of things thrown at you that you have to grow up, or you're trying to grow up really quickly. And we moved to Switzerland, like, when I was 11, I was 11. We went to school on scooters.
No way.
And like we could play like games still. So I guess I went back to just being a kid, and obviously lots of different cultures, so you just get so used to speaking to people, and I think that meant that I was very accepting of other people. I think that's because I wouldn't consider myself a very judgmental person, and I think that has to do with the fact that there was so many different cultures and everyone was accepting of each other.
One of my favourite documentaries of all time, and it's been removed off of Netflix, so I don't know why, because it would sort out humanity, and it's just called Happy. Have you seen it?
No, I never watched it.
Oh man, it's gone. I tried to find it the other day, and then I'm doing all this internet piracy stuff going on all the internet sites. I get one version and it's in a foreign language, and it's just got English subtitles, and it was really badly done, the quality. I just thought, we got 10 minutes in because I was prepping Chrissy up for it. I was so excited. I was like, let's watch Happy, it's so nice. And then we got 10 minutes in, I was no, this isn't representing the documentary I love, and
that makes you happy.
Yeah, it's not good enough. Yeah, the irony of feeling so depressed while watching it, like, I just want a good version.
And she's like, oh yeah, I'm fine. And you're like, it's not fine.
Yeah. This is totally not good enough. It's not going to give it just for what it is.
What is it about being happy?
So literally that, and they have scientists and doctors, health experts, teachers, people all over the spectrum and all over the world giving their examples and expectations and what happiness is, what depression is, the unhappiest countries and continents from sort of suicide rates and so on, the happiest ones. It's just incredible. I love it. Because it is very hard to quantify happiness and measure it. You know, it's quite an elusive term. I feel happy. There's a lot of sort of...
your happiness might be...
There's so many different elements to that. And it's nuanced, isn't it? There's different ways of measuring it, but they find their ways. They a teacher that goes into this school and they get all the kids up and they're all just speaking about happy, and they've got this one guy and he's like, are you happy? But he just breaks down. He's like, no, and he's being bullied. And this moment of this big guy on the stage, is this fair? And all the kids are crying, and it's like a beautiful emotional thing where this kid connects with everyone, and they're getting this moment of happiness. So anyway, one of the countries on there, which is supposed to be the happiest on the planet, was Switzerland. Yeah, it's known for being the happiest, and one of the elements behind it was because they've got a lot of community values apparently in Switzerland. They kept going into different communities and break-off cultures where they had their own food, they made their own supplies, they all lived together, ate together, cooked together. It was very beautiful, community based. I was just wondering, somebody that's lived there for how long you lived there, did you see elements of that? Another thing that I feel is it seems to be not too occupied. It's quite widespread and so on. Did you feel that?
Yeah, it's definitely spacious. I mean, it's you know, I guess there's an element of class there because there's a lot of money in the country. So that means poverty isn't really, it's not really there as much as, say, in the UK. So I guess, that people can afford a way of life and be able to, everything is like, the way I can describe it is like everything is bio, clean food. People like to exercise. The air smells different. People are respectful. You go on the tram and if there's an old lady, the youngest kid will get up and you can sit down. It's just like this respect for the people around you, which also, if you're a bunch of English students that come on making a lot of noise, they're like,
they let you know about it.
I mean, it's quite restrictive. I wouldn't say they have the greatest of humour. But they are quite, I think there's a lot of community. I think also they do this thing called Fastnacht in Basel, which is bigger than like Christmas. And it's where they play this music called Googie music.
Wow.
And they have this thing called Morgenstreich.
I'm really learning today. I'm loving this. I'm getting happy about you saying.
Everyone gets up. It's in February sometime. And everyone gets up at 4. Well, no, to get to the centre for 4 a.m.
Wow.
Everyone's like lined in the streets. And then they have these like weird lanterns on people's heads. It's dark, and then these amazing, beautiful, hand-painted lanterns, these creations, these like sort of statues and things. They go through the streets with this ridiculous music that plays. Sorry if anyone likes Googie music, but it's very grating.
Wow.
But it is definitely a community sort of tradition. And then people have onion soup onion soup. Oh, there's like 2 certain types of food, and then they have like a week where they have these weird mass creatures where they hand out sweets and they parade around, and it's frigging mental. But they come to life. So yeah, it's an amazing country, beautiful, but it's a bit slow.
If you could take parts of our culture and parts of their culture and just mash it together,
that'd be lush.
What would you want to incorporate?
There's something about like the English, like the dry humour, the sort of realism, the way that we
banter.
Yeah, you know what? I love it. The sarcasm. You just don't get it in any other country. Yeah. And I think it's fucking amazing. That kind of rawness of the English, sort of like fighting for what they believe in and things, mixed with like the slow respectfulness. Maybe people are a bit more considerate of each other in Switzerland.
That's fair. Okay.
So maybe if we mash those together,
that sounds nice.
It would be amazing.
Community feels and loving atmosphere, just with a bit of bants on top.
With a bit of bants.
Sprinkled in.
Yeah.
I lived in Oz for a year, Australia, and the common theme there, I was doing the proper like backpacker yar.
Did you go and like do the farm thing and like pick?
I didn't do that because most people do that if they want to get their second year.
Right.
But by about 10 months in, me and my mate decided we wanted to go elsewhere. We didn't really want to get our second year visa. We were happy to we've done Oz now, which was amazing. I was happy to go elsewhere. But while we were out there, the common theme of English people sort of grating against Australian people was just so much because they didn't get each other's humour whatsoever.
What's Australian humour?
I think it's very matter of fact and more playful.
Okay.
Ours is very sarcastic and dry, like you said. And I just know so many people that get in arguments, and I'm like, no, he was taking a piss there, mate. That was a joke. He's like, you fucking what can? I'm a better Australian than Bolton. Yeah, honestly, just I've felt it a couple of times. I did have really cool Australian mates, but it's funny with culture, innit? There really is some things you experience where you're like, oh, that stereotype exists for a reason. I kind of get it now. It makes sense.
Yeah.
And the one with the humour that everyone kept reporting about, like, oh, they don't really get us. There was loads of situations where I went, they don't really get us.
They don't. They're kind of like, you're
Genuine,
like having a
absolute
chat
genuine.
and like you're making a joke, but it's obviously, you know,
took it really
and
serious,
they're taking it seriously, and you don't get it, and then you're having to like kind of carry on with the seriousness, even though you're like, it was a joke.
And I remember, because I went out back though, so we went and worked in a cafe, and it is all just Australians there. It wasn't backpacky and so on. And all the house parties you go to, me and my mate stuck out like a sore thumb so much, and we got on with everybody. And you know, I was really young, so a big pursuit of it was appealing to women at one stage. That was a part of my psyche and soul. And the guys, their banter used to be very much about being bravado. And I went to one house party and they're just smashing each other over with a bottle. Like they go, smash it, and then everyone like
Oh no.
I remember it so much, hitting each other, and then like and then one gets up and then he gets it and it's on his head. And that wasn't just one party.
Did
I
that
went
get
to
the girls for it?
No, that's why we did well.
You're like,
that's why
right, while you're doing that, I'm swiping.
And the thing about aeroplane food, but honestly, that maybe I just went to the wrong parties, but these are all full true stories, and there was a lot, and it was very much just about bravado and being lads. And me and Jagger, who went out there together, we just didn't get it. Like, this isn't our humour. We don't want to be hitting each other and so on. So yeah, there was some form of divide, but then we went more into the cities. I met incredible people from all over the world. And I love travelling for that merit. All different cultures, just listening to people and hearing their stories of what they're about.
I think when people do go travelling or they've lived in a different country, it's interesting just to see, you know, how their perception is of maybe the UK or like of things, because when you meet different cultures you just see things from different ways. There's different morals, and
it's very polarized, isn't it? It's either the best thing to be from the UK ever, because everyone thinks of you in this certain way, and the Queen, yes, crumpets, give me a hug, brother. And then other people,
brother,
everyone calls me brother. And then the other side, the amount of fisticuffs I've nearly been in from being from the UK.
Oh, really?
Honestly, I remember being at a party and this Canadian guy, he was drunk, granted, but he'd just be screaming, going, "You're from UK and you're right, get out of here, get out of this." And he won just a few times. Australians take the piss a bit more.
I just think you've got a happy face, so I wonder why.
Thank you.
How you could get into a fight?
Yeah, well, I like it as a sport. I've always enjoyed getting punched in the head. It just felt good to me. Through boxing and stuff, I loved the combat of it. It felt, when you get in a ring, it's just so exciting. You've got to protect yourself, you've got to sort of work each other out. I love that side of it. But then on the street against people, it just doesn't make sense to me. I've seen way too many incidents of ambulances getting called, cracks on the head, brain damage. It's just totally pointless to me. But as a sport, I love combat. It's awesome. Yeah.
I guess it's
Can
a natural.
You see it in my face?
Yeah, I love. No, I think it's really interesting because it's obviously a natural instinct to do that, especially I think for maybe men.
I think you're absolutely bang on.
Yeah, but I guess it's about where you're doing it. So doing boxing and fighting, it's like a respect for each other. But
and most of the boxing clubs that get government funding and help with what they're doing, because they're getting young people off the streets and they're teaching them how to use your anger, how to channel your aggression. And I think we shouldn't be too scared from saying, particularly in men, because I think there is something inherently instinctive inside of us, it's probably ancestral, that we have that spark. Our brains act differently, and finding ways of channeling it and putting it into a ring, for example, it grows so much respect for each other. Honestly, after I'd been through a heavy boxing session back when I was training every day all the time, I was like my trainer's prodigy at the time. We used to do a thing called body sparring, and we'd be in the ring for 2 hours, and it'd just be great because the ring was tiny as well. It was literally the size of this stage.
Oh wow.
And there was a Marine in there, a copper, and they're all way older than me. Gordy was a proper professional boxer, and we'd just go for 2 hours, and every time the ring sort of went ding ding, you just change to the next guy and just go in for each other.
Doesn't it hurt?
It does, yeah. It hurts, but it lessens and lessens. And as I say, when you go through that 2 hours or hour and a half or absolute adrenaline, you're just sapping all your energy. You don't want to hurt anybody at all. You're done. You've left it in that room. You feel good. You've released everything you could possibly release. And then you go out onto the streets, or you go for a drink with your mates, and you just feel totally at zen, totally at peace. So I think there's a beautiful place for combat and utilise it in a sport and channeling your aggression. But yeah, I've seen it many places where I think these guys who are getting really aggressive here in this situation over something daft, I don't know what it would be, could really do with a sport in their life where they
really do with a spa.
Do you know what? Yeah.
Either a spa or a spa.
Yeah. But something where they just absolutely go hammer and tong with all their possible energy, they'd be different people. I totally believe in that. And then you learn the respect, and the mentality comes along with it afterwards, because you know what it takes to get in there, and you grow so much respect for everyone. It's different. Yeah it's really interesting.
I don't think when I was younger I quite got it. You know, I was like, why would people be interested in fighting? Because I've always been quite a girly girl, so if I'm sitting in my kind of feminine energy, you know, fighting is so far away from
removed from what you're about.
Yeah, but I really do understand it. I think more so now, because there is those like fights that everyone just starts to watch, and I remember like watching a few, and I remember like crying at the end of one of them because he was like fighting for his dad.
Oh wow.
And then I get it. Like,
I totally get it now.
And I'm like, why am I crying?
You had your epiphany.
I understand.
Yeah, it's just something that heavily influenced and impacted my life, and I totally changed who I was because of it. So yeah, finding my place in that. I was just always just so on edge. Do you know what I mean? Somebody offended me or upset me, put something out there that could potentially be seen in a certain way by me. I was just like, why would they do that? Why does everyone hate me? Me. Big ego death.
Yeah.
But go and put that into a sport, or channel that into a passion. It totally changed who I was and who I've become along that journey. And that's the same with travelling and the experiences and just levelling that out. So, yeah.
It's interesting, actually, because all of these things that we find, you know, people find sport, or they find, you know, travelling to different countries to release things. And now we're in lockdown where everything has been stopped. So what about these people who have been able to channel
Yeah.
their like aggression maybe in those units? And then
the stats are showing it, aren't they?
Yeah.
You know, suicides, depression, it really is ripe again, hasn't it? It's just absolutely gone off the scale.
Because people don't have that space to do that.
Yeah, that's why I've not enjoyed the government's approach, in honesty. Yeah, I see smile there, but where the emphasis could have been, I think gyms and sports, if we could have done it safely, responsibly, they are an absolute must. We've seen statistically they're not a big cause of COVID spread. Like, that's been quite well documented. And what they actually do for people's psyche, mental health and genuine health is so much more important to whatever else is part of the problem at the minute, in my opinion. Yeah. I think, and in loads of forms, you know, art, channeling that through art, it doesn't feel like the art sectors took a fair stance in this and understanding in this.
It's like everything.
Get a new job, remember? Cheers.
I mean, I think it's like anything that was a way of us to release and to express.
Yeah.
I've just been taken away.
And I don't like conspiracies, but
you're gonna tell them.
If you're gonna control the peoples, that's how you're gonna do it.
Well, yeah. It's been especially hard, I think, because of the winter. I mean, I was all right maybe during the first. Well, no, I got okay during the first lockdown because it was like everyone doesn't the gardens and everyone goes outside and it was hot and then it was cold and I was just like, what is my life?
Do you struggle anyway in winters?
Normally I can distract myself, but yeah, I think especially this winter.
Yeah, it's usually got some sort of novelty, hasn't it, when the winter comes. We go through all the summer, it's really light, beautiful, parties all the time. And then if you are that sort of optimist that sees the best in situations, you go, oh, now it's time for cocoa, film nights, early nights, beautiful, yeah. But when we just stuck in that's all you're actually allowed to do, it becomes a different thing other than novelty then, doesn't it?
Yeah, it becomes
chore.
That boredom, that feeling of like restlessness was a struggle. I mean, I can't be bothered to watch any more Netflix.
Yeah, when you've done with Vikings and Game of Thrones, you're done, aren't you?
I have not watched Vikings.
Neither of those.
I watched Game of Thrones, but I didn't watch the last season because I didn't have Now TV.
Okay. Do you think you're going to go back to it and give it a go, or have you...
I feel like
I'd
have to go back from... No, I'd have to go back from the beginning.
Yeah.
Was it good, the last season?
I didn't hate it as much as it got reported. But yeah, I suppose they could have gone differently about it. I think what everyone's problem is, and I won't give any what they called when you give stuff away. Spoilers, spoilers. I won't give any spoilers away. But there was a lot of build-up to certain parts and certain interesting things. Can you remember if you've seen this bit where the White Walkers were all walking in a cool format? So it sort of gets a drone shot, it comes up.
Which season is this?
I think it's probably like 3 or 4, sorry about that. But 3 or 4. And there's an end scene where a drone shot comes up and then all the White Walkers, and there's loads of them. I think it's the first time you ever see the White Walkers.
All right.
Probably one of the first shots. It comes up and they're all walking in this really weird format. And then you think, right, that's cool. That's going to go towards something later on. We're going to see like an interesting scripture or something ingrained into the wall or a cave painting, and it makes sense. There's loads of those moments where you think, oh, that's going to build up to this. Just doesn't mean anything.
Do you think that it's because like they write in, so they're like, we might use that? Because
that's
they literally write season to season, don't they?
Yeah, that's definitely a good possibility and something not reflected on. But one of the main consensuses was the two writers for it all, or the main writers, were asked to do, I think it's Star Wars, or was it Star Wars? Have you heard of this?
No.
Well, you looked at me like, I think it was Star Trek.
I know. But I was just thinking in my head, if he's going to say they wanted to write Star Wars, so they tied off Game of Thrones, I'd be like, guys.
Well, that's to an extent, a consensus. So they got commissioned to do something else. So the last project, the last season felt really rushed, and it did seem rushed. There was loads of flaws and loads of things they'd skipped. So a lot of people that I've heard talk about it, and fans, have said, I think they were looking at the next projects that they're doing and they just thought, right, how do we actually wrap this up? Right, next. I don't know. I really don't. But I enjoyed it. I just felt it was rushed. That was where I'm at. Watch it.
I'll watch it, but there's nothing worse than like something that's just not satisfying.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And you will have to go back through it again.
I'm gonna have to go back through all the friggin'
Yeah, maybe.
seasons.
Is there any other series or seasons that you can give me a bit of a tip off for? Give a go.
Have you watched Industry?
No.
That's good. That's quite new. I think it's on BBC.
Yeah. I mean, I don't
BBC.
trust anything BBC. Can't
Oh,
watch
right.
it.
I think it is BBC, yeah. And then what else? Normal People, did you watch that?
No.
Normal
Right,
People
have I
is
let
so
you down
good.
here? Really?
It's a 3-part drama.
3-part drama.
That's on the BBC too.
That's very digestible. I can go with that. And go on
was
then.
it,
Just a
Channel
bit of context. Normal People. I've heard of it.
It's like 2 kids getting together. It's like a love story, but they're very different, and it's about them growing up and constantly being drawn back to each other, but having the conflicts. And it's more about the wholesomeness of the writing, and actually the relationship is so good. The actors are so good.
I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, I've been told to watch this a few times.
Yeah. And like, it's good when there's a little bit of sex on TV, isn't it? We're all in lockdown.
Yeah.
I mean, we all know there's a baby boom happening, but for the people where there's there's just your cat.
Can I just say, our baby was pre-lockdown.
Oh, right, okay.
But everyone keeps asking me, like, oh, another lockdown baby, eh? And I'm like, no, genuinely, Chrissy was at work, she was going through school with a bump and everything, then lockdown came, and everyone's like, yeah, you've got a lockdown baby. No.
What's your baby called?
Ella.
So when was she born?
November the 6th.
Oh, in like 2020?
Yeah.
Oh, right,
Yeah.
okay.
So that's fair, isn't it?
How have you found it?
Being a dad.
Yeah, and it being in lockdown.
Loved it.
Aw.
Really loved it. Yeah. I feel so lucky, genuinely. And another part of the whole conversation we started with writing and poetry and going to schools, I did feel a part of my soul was ready to move on, ready to, hence the buses and hence the business change here. And I just wanted to be at home more. And it feels, I've had a taste of what that is, and being at home and being more around my family. And I just absolutely adore it. It's so beautiful to get to wake up in the morning, get up early, do my treadmill walk, watch a bit of something daft, a documentary. 42 on YouTube, very good.
Okay.
I hope he subscribes. And then after that, I can go upstairs, see the girls, have a bit, bring a coffee up, and then we sort of conduct the day from there and what we want to do. And it's beautiful to be together and not constraint to any timings. I struggle with that in my psyche.
Right, okay.
That makes sense.
The routine you can't.
Yeah, I don't do well in other people's time. Do you know what I mean? I can be self-employed and have odd jobs to go and do, and you've got a school here, you've got a school there, and it's sort of split apart. But any time it's been, you've got a 9 to 5, or you're on this person's time, because time's my most precious thing. I'm really not money orientated. I can see it come and go so quickly. I think it pisses off a few people. But I'll always invest. If I get some money in, I'm just like, oh, what do we need? Right, bosh, get it done. Don't look at a figure going up and down. I don't even know what's in my account now. I've got no idea. I think it pisses on my accountant. But I just want to get stuff that we can actually use and utilise. So I'm happy with that. It's just my time that I really find precious. And the moments where I was most unhappy in my life, where I was giving away too much of that, and that was just being allowed to be taken.
It sounds like you've created the boundaries now, going, this is what suits me.
Totally. And lockdown, I was on the precipice and learning about it, thinking, how am I going to make this happen? And now there's been a lockdown, I've gone, right, well, I've got to make this happen, because this is my happiness. This is what I want to do. Have you had similar teachings?
I would say yes. I'm still learning. I have always, naturally, I'm good with some routine. I need that to keep some sort of stability and safety within myself, certainty. But then I get extremely bored. I get very itchy feet. I'm looking for the next thing. So I went to go and be self-employed in March last year. Obviously the lockdown hit and it was music. So I went from having all full routine to no money
yeah.
and no routine, and that's when the panic attacks happen, anxiety attacks, like. And so I realised the purpose, importance of routine, but I'm not very good. I mean, I do a 9 to 5, and if any of my work colleagues watch this, I enjoy my job to a degree, but naturally I'm creative, and naturally I want to create a life that is freeing and works for me. So I'm maybe a few steps behind you in terms of creating it.
I think what we spoke about earlier on aggression and males in fighting and their sort of inherent ancestral natures. Same with structure. We're built with some structure, we've got light and night, and in between that we go and get our needs met. So we go out there, we hunt and gather, we cook, we're in the community spirit. And then outside of that, I'm sure they incorporated play, and they incorporated art and design. You've seen the cave paintings. I went to South Africa and saw that. It's incredible what people ended up going and trying to build on. But I do think instinctively we need some form of structures in our lives. It gives us that attack for the day, that understanding of the day. And for me, if I do just completely go, what blasé about it, what am I doing today? I'm really uncomfortable in that. Even if I'm planning my fun, that's good enough for me. I'm sort of planning, right, we're going to go for a walk, I'm going to do a bit of meditation, or I'm going to do a bit of a treadmill walk, then we're going to watch a film, we're going to do all it. It's structured, even if it's just for fun. Do you know what I mean? I think that structure, for people that are struggling, I do a podcast with my other mate, Zach, where we Words and Wisdom. Not that much wisdom in there, but the sort of thing I try and constantly put out, and the pre-claim, is the people I talk to or put content out for when I speak of mental health is people that are actually actively seeking change, that know their lives don't feel whole and want something. I don't speak from soapboxes anymore and go, change, be like this, we all need structure, we all need that. But people that have fallen to pain, that's who I'm trying to speak towards, that's who I try and put out towards, if that makes sense. So those sort of people, I'd say, get some structure in your life, but not too regimented to it.
Yeah, like you've got to flow, right? So you can't be too rigid.
Yeah,
with those.
Balanced.
Yeah, but it is always a bit of a balancing act. I think some people are better at it to others, or do you think that you can learn to be comfortable with it?
With structure? With
uncertainty and like the balance, creating a balance for yourself.
Yeah, the unknown's good. The unknown's important. And I think you can thrive in the unknown. But just being with certain... I think my friend he's a personal trainer, he said something really beautiful the other day, and just have some certainties in your day, some things that you're going to do. Clean your teeth, have your breakfast, and have little mini wins in your day. So that's some structure, certainties that you're going to achieve. And when you've ticked off all those that are going to make you happier, going to make you feel good, you can be quite unknown, and you can be quite sort of playful within the lack of structure, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But have some of the structure there that you've got mini wins towards.
I like that.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah, he was really balanced in how he spoke. I loved it. And I think that I've tried to... Because like we've said, I've not been all sunshine and rainbows in the lockdown. I've had bad days. I've had times where, particularly physique, I had a moment where I got really structured. I got in this new diet plan. I was really training. I felt amazing. And I kept going, Chrissy, like, it's actually work. I saw some abs coming through, all that. So structured. And then I think it was the second lockdown hit. I just felt this feeling of, well, when does it end? When do we get to go back to thriving the bus or doing the business or going to the gym, little things I love? It hit me a bit hard. Had a few nights of drinking and eating
Whiskey.
and whiskey. You learnt me. And,
I know what to get you for your birthday.
with that good of friends now. McDonald's with Ubers are so crazy, right? We've got about 3 options.
An Uber to the farm?
Yeah, they find it eventually. They know us by first name now, which isn't good. But yeah, I'm like I've said before the podcast, I've had addiction ripe in my life, and it's been all or nothing. So how he was speaking, I was thinking, I'm going to try and add a bit more of that balance into my life, where it's not all or nothing. It's a little bit more pick and mix. Yeah, that's worked really well for me.
Do you feel that you still get the addictive sort of urges?
Massively, yeah.
How do you
control them?
Yeah, control them.
Do you listen to much Russell Brand at all?
Sometimes, and sometimes I think he just goes on.
He says a lot of words, doesn't he?
Yeah, and I get lost.
I
do like it.
I really loved him. Then grew a little bit. He's just trying to sound over smart, over intellectual. In my opinion, maybe that is just how he is. But I went off him for a bit. But when he speaks on addiction, I think we align perfectly in how we see it. And one of the things he talks about is it's a constant battle. You're always going to have that inside of you. I would advise, the series of theories, boys, we did last week. Have we lost the war on drugs?
Oh, I watched a
little bit. Get to a bit further on. There's one part where we talk about some really interesting experiments that have been done in science, and ones that have been upheld by science. And there's one called Rat Park and one called Rat Utopia, and that really gets intertwined with how the addict's brain works. And when I listen to these studies that are really quite well known by the science communities, I just totally understood how my brain works and operates. And that's one of the most important things I feel in these times, is to know how our brains operate, how we feel from things. When we see a picture, when we see some food, when we see something appealing and overstimulating, or whatever we feel, knowing what our brain's taking in, how it's calculating it, and then what we're experiencing, we can grow from that.
Yeah.
And that I've tried to do that with my experience on addiction, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it's really interesting to hear about it, because I wouldn't say I don't really have addiction issues, but I do have certain thought patterns, and I think most people can resonate. There's certain ways we think and we go to, and understanding the mind, but also understanding that maybe will be your go-to, and that you have to almost detach from it, create a new line, but that maybe in a child might still come back, and you just have to learn to soothe it, and maybe accept that you won't get rid of it. Because I think the acceptance is part of it, isn't it? The acceptance of who you are, and to learn to not criticise and hate. Because the more you do that, the more pain it's going to cause and in a conflict.
I mean, I'll say something really honest to you on this platform now, and one thing that's really helped me, when I mentioned pictures then, so when I was doing these podcasts, I'd go down, whoever guest I'd been on, this is true, I'd go down there, sort of, whoever liked the podcast and just like all their stuff, I'd be like, get all their followers or whatever, because I think if they've friends with them, they're going to probably watch the podcast. So if I add them, then maybe we'll have more viewers on the podcast. And one of them was on a health and fitness page. So then I just went down willy-nilly, looking down, and then my feed, because I'd added all these people, was lots of bums, lots of boobs, just nudity was a big part of my feed.
Right.
I feel that's where it sprung from, unless the algorithm's just like, I know what this guy's into.
Well, it might be because you just started to add, so then...
That's what I feel. When I went down the health and fitness page, it was lots of people that wanted to express and show off their body. So that's what I was seeing. And just through my experience of life and who I am and being conscious of myself, I realised it wasn't doing me any favours. It really didn't work for me.
Interesting.
And that's the important thing, me, is what I need to be reflective on. I don't want to generalise anymore. I don't want to say, they shouldn't be doing this, or men shouldn't be looking at this, or whatever. It's just, what's it doing for me, my soul, my psyche, my feeling? And I'm not going to get into this scandal I went through, but that's something of essence of what somebody was trying to say in a comment, but just done so poorly, saying them totally wrong way. But I understood it to a degree, and that's something I've done in my life, was seen all that happen and just manicured my social media. I just decided, it doesn't suit me. I'm not becoming a good dad from it. I'm not becoming a good partner from it. I'm not becoming a good person from it. So I'm going to have to unfollow. And I'm going to have to mute the things that don't suit me. And that's a good, steady way to getting happy, in my opinion, if you're going to use social media and it's a platform for you.
Yeah, that's clever. And it takes a lot, because it's Instagram. It's like taking a hit, isn't it? Like, it's so easy to scroll. It's so easy to just get hooked on these things, to just see images. From the first thing we do when we wake up, is we remind ourselves of who we are, or our comparisons to what we're seeing.
Comparisons, great word, yeah.
And we do that before we've even allowed ourselves to get into a really centered place.
Yeah.
So our day just goes off, and then the day turns to a week, turns to a month of something that might be quite mindless, not good for your mental health.
Yeah.
But you're not realising it. You're just thinking you're feeling a bit shit. So it's good that you are able to do that. I think I might do that.
And it comes in so many different avenues. If you're waking up and looking on it and it's all political and just anger, and all you're doing is feeling that and putting it out there. If you want to lose some weight and all you're following is beautiful, do you know, when the cakes are sort of dripping down with chocolate goo and that sort of food porn style, maybe that's not working for you. Start to look at some healthy option sites and so on. But you could just keep taking that on and on and on and on. And I think people feel they need to see all of it to get a good sense of what's going on in the world. But yeah, I would debate or disagree to say what you need to do is build it for what if you want to become the best person you can be and the best version of you need to filter what you're seeing, because there's just so much out there.
Yeah.
We need to rein it in a little bit and know what we need.
I read somewhere that I need to get this fact right if I'm going to bloody say it. So, like, in the 15th century, this is going to come out so shit, I'm sorry. You might need to edit this, so let's go hear it. In the 15th century, like, someone's whole lifetime, all that knowledge and information, we experience that in one day now. So, like, the amount of information that we're receiving, but our emotions and kind of our instincts, those things haven't really grown exponentially as, you know, all this sort of media and stuff. So we're not quite there yet. It's overstimulating.
Completely agree. I've heard so many scientists explaining it. I love podcasts, so particularly Rogan, but I've tried to listen to, when it's a Rogan on and he's had a really interesting guest on, I've gone, right, I'm going to go into that guy's podcast and his world and see what he's saying, because that was cool. And there is so many of who he's had on of scientists, and then the scientists start talking to scientists, but they just say, we're just not equipped for how this is, the information's just being processed and the brain, you know, the Stone 8 theory is how the brain developed so quickly. That's one of our biggest misunderstandings, and we've actually not concluded how the brain developed so quickly. But you know, there's thought of psychedelics involvement, there's thought of the growing of fire, because we had such a small brain and then it grew, but after that it kind of plateaued, and we had this brain shape and size, and we've grown through evolution and we've built and built and built, but then information started getting thrown and thrown and thrown, and the way the cognition of it just isn't designed for this. So what you said is absolutely bang on perfect.
So do you think the brain just burns out?
What do you? It burns out eventually.
No. What's going to happen to us?
I mean,
Well, people do spontaneously combust. I think that's
yeah. I've seen that.
What do you mean you've seen it?
No, not in real life, but like on what's that? It's not YouTube, but there's like another site where you can see crazy stuff. Don't go on that site, so I won't even mention it. But you can watch anything.
Right.
It's the black market of YouTube.
Right.
Have you heard of anything like that?
I think maybe when I was younger.
Dark web.
Oh, is that what it's called?
No.
Oh.
I don't think I'll say it because like young people might access it, and I'm just like, there's weird
There was a
sites.
site that I used to look at when we were younger, and we used to. Oh, it was
I've thought of the name
minging.
now, but I think I'm leaving it.
I'll tell you. We'll speak
We'll go
about it after and go. Is it that
It's
site?
unnecessary.
Actually makes me feel sick.
But the combustion one, I'm sure it happened in a garage. So, but with their CCTV. And a guy just, I know exactly what you're saying. It's a real thing. Something to do with the gases in the body and so on and reacting. It's crazy, isn't it?
Imagine that. Imagine you just like, oh, I need to go. I'm just going to go get a spanner from the garage. And you're in the garage, you're like, feeling a bit smoky. And then you just set a light and you die.
Wow.
That would be great.
No, not for me.
Have you ever like watched those things or read those things where it's like the most random ways people die? Like once this person was like on a boat and just opened the mouth, and then this fish jumped in and choked him, and they died.
Well, I know the series you're on about. Is there a series of this?
Well, I think this was on Facebook, you know, when it just tells you like loads of odd ways people have died.
There's a Netflix series of strange ways of death or whatever it is. I'll find what it's called. I'll send it you. The strangest ways to die. Yeah, it was called that.
That's on, but Happy's not on.
Yeah. Again, I'm not into conspiracies. But if they want to control you.
All the fucking miserable things. I watch the news every day at 5 o'clock.
Oh, you're on about the brain just burning. Yeah, mine nearly did. It blew up the other day. But yeah, I mean, then we're going into what happens to the brain. And I think personally, and I won't be able to venture into this too heavily because I'm not well equipped enough, but I've heard interesting things, Elon Musk, but I think we are going into sort of technological advances, AI, Neurolinks. I don't know if you've heard much about all that.
It goes above my head.
It does it. It's and mine too, really. I find it fascinating, and I think there's possibilities, and I think, you know, science is incredible. They've found ways of potentially curing blindness and deafness and so on, and just implanting certain things. But I personally think we are the caterpillar and machinery might be the butterfly, in my opinion.
Do you think that
it's
they
all
would
doom and gloom?
move to Mars?
Move to Mars? Yeah,
I reckon we'll exhaust this planet. Like, we've got to go somewhere else.
Yeah, if we're talking futuristic term, we can't carry on in the way that we have. There's no possibility of this. It's too polarised. It's too against one another. Global warming. The science consensus is that really is real, guys. It's happening. And I think there was a comedian. Have you heard of Bill Hicks?
Yeah.
Well, there's Bill Hicks, and in that time of conscious comedians, there was George Carlin, and he does a really cool sketch, but he predicts and feels that the planet's just going to shake us off like a bad case of fleas, and that's what we're going to become. And I don't think, I'm not talking in a really sort of pessimistic, sad boy way. I just think reality is reality, and we seem to have really exhausted this planet. So, I think it's a technological revolution that's probably we're embarking on. Yeah,
it's just taking a mind of its own. But it does, like, it's almost overwhelming to think of it. Yeah. And it's just like, I can't compute.
It's not, compute.
I'm like, I'm just going to write songs about my feelings and then let my future lines.
For podcast platforms, definitely interested in venturing and going off into the unknowns and talking about it, but how I conduct my life, totally different. And I don't try and second guess it and think about it too much, because I've got a lot of friends that do. I love them to pieces, love them dearly, but I don't think they live their lives rationally or in a good sense of way
Yeah.
from my perspective, because they do seem quite angry or worried or anxious about it all, and I want to be present for my daughter, I want to be present for my family.
I love that.
Yeah, I'm out. It's fascinating for me, and I just want to see it from that perspective. And you know, aliens and conspiracy, everything. That's why we did Series of Theories podcast. I wanted a platform where we could just talk about it, leave it in that space, and then bugger off.
Yeah.
Go and have some dinner.
Yeah.
Watch film. Yeah, I've been consumed by thoughts too many times, and them sort of ways of thinking.
I like that. Find the peace,
Yeah.
the lightness of life. Because if we get stuck in it, it's just heavy. We don't need to be heavy all the time.
I mean, I was just going to say, while you were concluding that, I was like, do you think that's a nice way of wrapping this all up?
And it's a wrap, guys.
This really has been beautiful. I've really enjoyed it. Maybe we should just do a podcast. That's it. I'll get you on with a Series of Theories, boys. I think you'll love that. We'll have a chat. What we do is just ping a question. The next one. So the last one was, have we lost the war on drugs? Oh no, then we did, who's the worst fictional dad? So it could have been Dr. Evil. Do you watch Rick and Morty ever?
No.
Rick's a bad dad.
Okay.
We did a worst fictional dad. Now, next week's is, should films ever do sequels?
All right.
There's been a lot of bad sequels, and they've ruined very good films for me. So that's my question to the board. So maybe if you throw us one across, we'll help you answer it.
Okay.
So you've got to think about that.
Okay.
Unless you've got one that springs to mind now.
No, I've got
Not yet. Let's find out. Can you tell everybody, we've smashed this podcast. This has been a good 2-hour one.
2 hours?
Yeah, man.
We've talked for 2
Swear on my
hours.
life. We just like totally sort of get each other and connect.
We're just like vibing.
Yeah. Hey up, Nan, I know you're watching.
Oh.
Would you
Does she
tell?
watch the podcast? That's so cute.
Yeah.
Hi,
I
Nan.
mean, what else is she gonna do? Yeah, Bez. Wave Bez. Hey, Bez.
Hey, Bez.
She definitely watches all the way through as well. I watched that one and didn't like where you spoke about substances like that. I didn't think that was you, Mikey. Sorry, Nan. How do you think you get this without them? Can you tell the audience, Nan, Bez, where she can find all your stuff, where they can access your material, what you got going on?
Well, I am on all social media.
Oh,
Well, I mean, apart from Twitter. 'cause
I was going to say, do you bother with Twitter?
No, because I've got too much to say. You got to say it concisely in like 2 lines, and I ain't got the time. We'll do a 2-hour podcast. Stick on there. On Instagram, I'm Gemma Danielle Official. And I'm like that on pretty much every other platform. But if you go on to my Instagram, there's just a link which links to everything. Like
I've got one of them.
Yeah.
What's it called?
Is it Linktree?
Yeah, probably the same one we use, yeah. Or all my links I think I use, so maybe different platforms, but
That makes sense.
got a button and then everything's there.
Yeah, you just click on it and then it's like, oh, you can go to this one and this one.
Handy as anything, innit?
So that's that. And what forgot? Oh, well, we've got a collab coming out sometime soon.
100%. Do you need to come here or to Josh's to record it then? Because I heard you say in the podcast, you're just getting into the recording side of doing it yourself.
I'm just getting my home studio done.
Really?
Yeah.
So do you think you might do it in there then, or?
I think so, but it'll probably be like, maybe like 2 weeks.
No,
before
not
it's
good
in
enough.
there.
I want it tomorrow.
I just depends how quick you are with things. Or I can just go record something somewhere else. But yeah.
There's so much we could still talk about. I love it. It's been ace. Really enjoyed it. I
Thanks
could
for
talk to
having
you
me.
forever. Genuine. Are you going to do your own podcast? I think you should.
You think?
You could do little
Maybe one day.
10, 15-minute segments. We didn't get into the laws of attraction.
So that's our sequel.
We're going to get back on this, aren't we? Amazing. Guys, thank you so much for being a part of the Old Farm Bus Back of the Bus Sessions podcast. Last thing for this whole podcast, remember what we say. Just be nice to one another. Really is that simple. Don't be a dick. Big love, one love, peace out.